Hello friends. In our previous two sessions on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we have talked about some of the biographical experiences that threw light on the social inequality that engulfed Indian society, resulting in victimizing a large portion of the society that belonged to a so called lower stratum. Today in this session, we will talk about contribution of Dr. Ambedkar in bringing about reforms in Indian society, religious reforms. According to him, there is no difference between the role of Hindu priest and any other profession. Like a lawyer or a doctor, a priest performs necessary functions in the community and is called upon when needed. The state regulates other profession with examinations and certification awarded solely on merit. Why should religion be different? From this alone, we can see that Ambedkar does not perceive religion as a manner of tradition, and that he would be unimpressed by arguments that Hinduism has been practiced certain way for 3000 years. So, the tradition must be continued in the same form. On the contrary, Ambedkar saw religion as a profession like medicine and law that is constantly improving and fits itself to the needs of the people. Ambedkar adopted peaceful means of social change. He believed in the evolutionary process of social change, which moves on constitutional lines. He rejected revolutionary or radical method of bringing about social change, for it disturbs peace and tranquility and creates chaos, strife and war. In the words of Ambedkar, my social philosophy may be said to be enshrined in three words, that is liberty, equality and fraternity. He believed that new society cannot be brought about through the means of violence, force and compulsion. Though he was intent upon upliftment of the oppressed, his focus was very much on the unity, integrity and glorification of the nation despite all the contradictions and diversities. He believed that only in unification and not in disintegration lies the good of all. Various provisions of the constitution stand as testimony to this philosophy. Ambedkar is one of those illustrious personalities whose life and work has influenced and inspired both young and old generation. His contribution in the making of the Constitution of India is phenomenal, and he definitely fought for the betterment of the oppressed class. Let us talk about some of his remarkable social contributions. Bahishkrit Hitkarani Sabha. In 1924, to launch a social movement to uplift the untouchables, Ambedkar along with a few like-minded members formed a central institution named Bahishkrit Hitkarani Sabha. This society was formed to promote the interest of untouchables. The principal aims of the Sabha were: first, to promote the spread of education amongst the untouchables. Second, to promote the spread of culture amongst the untouchables by opening libraries, study circles, etc. To improve the economic status of the untouchables by starting industrial and agricultural schools, and to bring the grievances of the depressed classes to the attention of the government. Ambedkar worded educate, agitate and organize as the motto of the organization, indicating very clearly that the key of the improvement in the condition of the untouchables lay in their own hands. The first annual report of this institution mentioned a range of activities undertaken by it. First, a hostel for the depressed class near Solapur, which accommodated free of cost 15 high school students. Second was general work among the Mahar in the Nasik district with regard to redress of their grievances in the Watandari matters. A library and a reading room for the depressed class. Mahar Hockey Club mainly to wane away the Mahar youth from unhealthy habits like drinking and gambling. Depressed Class Students Association was formed that aimed at cultivating a taste for knowledge and learning among the students. formation of 3 cooperative credit societies for the depressed classes. Ambedkar closed down this Sabha after 4 years in 14th June 1928 and formed Depressed Classes Education Society, presumably to focus his attention and energy on the education of the depressed classes, which he always thought to be immensely important for their betterment. Dr. Ambedkar addressed during this period a large number of conferences of untouchables, which helped him to interact with them and mobilize them behind him. The high point of these conferences was reached during the large scale mobilization of untouchables that was effected by him during Mahad Satyagraha. This epic event confirmed Dr. Ambedkar's stature as the unquestionable leader of the untouchable community. Mahad Satyagraha. Dr. Ambedkar led the Mahad Satyagraha for drinking water from the Chaudhar tank at Mahad in Raigad, Maharashtra on 20th March 1927. This was the foundational struggle of the Dalit movement. Ambedkar compared this movement with French Revolution, which was fought for the reconstruction of society, for the eradication of the old society based on feudal inequalities and the establishment of a new society based on liberty, equality and fraternity. In the statement at the time, he put the movement in the broadest possible context. Why do we fight? He asked. It is not simply for drinking water. Drinking the water will not give us very much. It is not even the matter of our human rights. We want to end the old inhuman caste society based on inequality and reconstruct the world, reconstruct society based on liberty, equality and fraternity. This is our goal. More than 1,000 people participated in this agitation and drank water from the tank. A riot broke following a rumor that Ambedkar and his followers were planning to enter a Hindu temple in the town. The caste Hindu purified the tank by performing puja. Ambedkar decided to hold a second conference in Mahad on 26th and 27th December. But caste Hindu filed a case against him that tank was a private property. He was not able to continue his satyagraha as the case was sub judice. So, on 25th December 1927, Ambedkar burnt Hindu Manusmriti, a Hindu law book, as a protest. In December 1937, Bombay High Court ruled that the untouchables have the right to use water from the tank. Next is Pune Pact. Friends, Pune Pact was an outcome of Ambedkar's effort to give political justice and equality to Dalit community. Dr. Ambedkar participated in first round table conference where he questioned British government on their role for improvement in the condition of depressed class. During the conference, Ambedkar favored the move of British government to provide separate electorate for the oppressed classes. Mahatma Gandhi opposed this decision and went on indefinite hunger strike. In the view of mass upsurge to save the life of Gandhiji, Ambedkar was compelled to soften his stand. An agreement arrived at between the leaders acting on behalf of depressed classes and of the rest of the community regarding the representation of depressed classes in the legislature and certain other matters affecting their welfare, and this came to be known as Pune Pact. Ambedkar was elected as the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution of Independent India on 29th August 1927. The text prepared by Ambedkar provided constitutional guarantees and protection for a wide range of civil liberties and above all the abolition of untouchability and outlawing all forms of discrimination. He also won Constituent Assembly's support for introducing a system of reservations of jobs to the SC and ST. Let us study more about the reforms brought in through Constitution. Reforms through constitutional provision. Friends, we have studied the reform works of Rajaram Mohan Roy, Dayanand Saraswati and Jyotiba Phule. These reformers used public platform and social organizations to bring about reforms. They had no direct access in government's decision making mechanism. Unlike these reformers, Dr. Ambedkar could contribute into radical reforms with the help of constitutional provisions. As the chairman of drafting committee, he played a vital role and leading role in bringing about social reforms through constitutional mandate. Through inclusion of several provisions in the form of fundamental rights, directives, principle of state policy and affirmative state actions, Ambedkar could materialize the value of social justice. The preamble, which is the unalterable basic structure of our constitution, promises to secure all its citizens with first justice, which is social, economic and political. Second, liberty in relation with thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Third is equality in relation with status and opportunities. And lastly, fraternity, assuring the dignity of all the individuals and the equality and integrity of the nation. These resonant words of preamble strongly highlights the long cherished desire of common people and reformers of India to be a part of an ideal society which is based on justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Constitution through its preamble has authorized the state and its three principal organs, that is legislature, executive and judiciary, to take all necessary measures to create a sustainable social order in which every citizen could be assured of all inclusive justice without any discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, gender, descent, place of birth and residence. Friends, let us understand provisions made in our constitution for social justice. Article 38 states that the state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effective as it may a social order in which justice, social, economic and political shall inform all the institutions of the national life. It further provides that the state shall in particular strive to minimize the inequalities in income and endure to eliminate inequalities in status, facilities and opportunities, not only amongst individuals but also amongst group of people residing in different areas and engaged in different vocations. In simple words, this article provides directives essential for social, economic and political justice to all Indians belonging to different strata of society. Likewise, Article 46 stipulates that the state shall promote with special care the educational and economic interests of the weaker section of the people, and in particular of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and shall protect them with social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Similarly, Article 44 provides that the state shall endure, that is try to secure for its citizen a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. These three articles are part of the directive principles of state policy under Part 4 of the Constitution. These sample articles reflect the ideology of social reform which was cherished by Dr. Ambedkar. His idea of social justice, his dynamic political thoughts, his liberal views on constitutionalism, His progressive concept of rights of the people, his vision of an ideal society, and above all, his concern for the welfare of the downtrodden were not only echoed during his illustrious debates in Constituent Assembly, but also reflected in each and every part of Constitution of India. Ambedkar's unique idea of social justice originated from his vision for ideal society, that is Samata Samaj, based on social order of equality, unity and justice. His urge for social justice can be traced in his own sufferings as well as those unfortunate millions who were born in the families of so called low caste in the hierarchy of caste based Hindu society. As a true social humanist and activist, Ambedkar fought throughout his life for the abolition of all types of discrimination in the society as well as the caste system, which had become an institutional mechanism for pampering and promoting discrimination between man and man for centuries. He therefore advocated for time-bound protective discriminations for the vulnerable section of the society as an affirmative action towards social justice. Ambedkar is recognized as father of Constitution of India and also known as modern Manu. His yet another contributory work is in regards with the Women Rights Bill, namely the Hindu Code Bill. Let us understand more about it. Hindu Code Bill. The Hindu Code Bill was introduced in Constituent Assembly on 11th April 1947 by Ambedkar. The main objective of this bill was to introduce women's right into political vocabulary and Constitution of India. This bill sought, among other reforms, to put an end to variety of marriage systems and legalize only monogamous marriages. The code also made provision to confer on women the right of property, order of succession to the property, maintenance, marriage, divorce and adoption. It puts men and women on an equal level in all legal matters. The bill was moved for referring to the Select Committee on 9th April 1948. The parliamentary debate continued for more than 4 years. This was the first longest discussion on a single bill in the Free India's parliament. Dr. Ambedkar felt that government is not eager to clear the Hindu code. He tendered his resignation on 27th September 1951 to the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. On the request of Prime Minister, he continued to participate in the parliamentary debate till 10th October 1951. Some of the conservative and orthodox members, including the President of Constituent Assembly, Shri Rajendra Prasad, were against the bill. Dr. Ambedkar resigned from Nehru's cabinet. Then in 1955, the laws relating to marriage, adoption, maintenance, divorce, etc. were passed in the parliament. Ambedkar's political career. In 1935, Ambedkar was appointed as principal of Government Law College, Mumbai. He also served as chairman of governing body of Ramjas College, University of Delhi. In 1936, he founded the Independent Labour Party, which contested 1937 Bombay election and won 15 seats. He served on the Defence Advisory Committee and in Viceroy's Executive Council as a Minister for Labour. He was appointed as Free India's first Law Minister. Ambedkar contested in first Indian general election in 1952, but lost to Congress party candidate. Ambedkar became an appointed member of Rajya Sabha. He tried to enter Lok Sabha again during by-election in 1954, but could not win it. By the time of second general election in 1957, Ambedkar had died. Now let us talk about conversion to Buddhism. Ambedkar highly criticized in Hindu caste system and he studied philosophies of different religions. He became great admirer of Buddhism. He mentioned in his public speeches his intention to convert his religion. Around 1950, he devoted his attention to Buddhism and travelled to Sri Lanka to attend a meeting of the World Fellowship of Buddhists. After this meeting, he announced that he was writing a book on Buddhism and that when it was finished, he would formally convert to Buddhism. In 1955, he founded the Bharatiya Buddha Mahasabha. In 1956, he completed his writings on Buddhism titled The Buddha and His Dhamma. He organized a formal public ceremony for himself and his supporters in Nagpur on 14th October 1956 and completed his own conversion along with his wife. He then proceeded to convert around 5 lakhs of his supporters who had gathered for the meeting. His work on Buddha or Karl Marx and revolution and counter-revolution in ancient India remained incomplete. And lastly, let us talk about his death. Friends, Ambedkar led a meaningful life and contributed for betterment of oppressed class. He was an architect of Indian Constitution and struggled lifelong for social justice. Since 1948, he suffered from diabetes. He was bedridden for 6 months in 1954 due to medication side effects and poor eyesight. He was being increasingly disturbed by political issues which took toll on his health. His health worsened in 1955. 3 days after completing his final manuscript, The Buddha and His Dhamma, he died in his sleep on 6th December 1956 at his home in Delhi. Let us conclude. Ambedkar's legacy as socio-economic reformer had a deep impact on modern India. His socio-political thoughts are respected across the political spectrum. Many public institutions are named in his honor. The Maharashtra government has acquired a house in London where Ambedkar lived during his days as a student in 1920. He was voted as the greatest Indian in 2012 by a poll organized by History TV 18 and CNN IBN. Notable economists like Narendra Jadhav and Amartya Sen pay high regards to Ambedkar for his contribution in the field of economics. Friends, it was really difficult to cover the great work of Ambedkar in this short duration, but I would advise you all to read more literature on Ambedkar and understand his contribution towards social, economic and political reforms. Thank you.